Hey guys, it's Penelope in London, and we're looking at the chart of today. I'm on AstroSeek at the moment. You can see here, astro-seek.com. You can actually get your own chart here. You can see where birth natal chart here. I'm in London, by the way. So birth natal, you can get there your own, but you do need your birth time. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this for a couple of minutes, and then we're going to go over to solar fire and watch the planets move. So what we can currently see, the moon, which moves really quickly, 28 days around the chart, is currently in Capricorn, and it's moving on into Pluto. It's going to conjunct, that's always a bit, of emotional events, and because Pluto is about transformation, transmutation, and the moon is our ego self. So the ego is not a bad thing. It's either where we are asserting ourselves and our ego self in a healthy way, or it can be unhealthy. So we get to choose. The more conscious we get, as Jung said, making the unconscious conscious. That is what astrology is. So if we look here also, we've got the sun in 11 degrees of Taurus. We've just had the sun cross you see here, Uranus, and we've also got Venus in Taurus, and we've also got here Mercury, you can see in Taurus, and also Lilith, which is the mean Lilith, is also in Taurus. So there's two different Liliths. There's true Lilith, mean Lilith, and asteroid Lilith, and there is another one which I don't use. So the sun also is conjunct, it's moving away, it was conjunct Venus. We look at that. We got the sun square Saturn at this time. So we got Saturn up here, and the sun is going to be in a square in a couple of days. So what does that mean? It can create two different types of reactions. So it's where we give up when we encounter problems with the sun square Saturn, because Saturn is restriction and the sun is who we are, our will. Then we've got another way it can be used is where we get stimulated to perform better. So we'll see how that works out individually over the next few days. It will depend what house that's happening in for you. For me, that would be my 6th house, and also Saturn in my 3rd. So it will work out for us differently, different areas of our lives. The sun conjunct Uranus is just separating, and this gives us independence. It gives us unconventional behavior, and it's radical views as well, the sun conjunct Uranus. And also it's where we can refuse to accept accepted truths and opinions, and it's where we welcome what other people think as well. And this conjunction it's individuality, it's in part individuation, because the sun is the center of self, and then Uranus is breaking free of limitations, and it's also our originality, but originality can be brought to extreme with this going on. So we might have been seeing that play out in the last few days, and then it will move off, the sun will keep moving off. And it's also, to do with where we can teach and mentor each other. And also we have trouble having authority sort of over us, because the sun is our will, who we are. And with that Uranus breaking free of limitations and shocks and things like that, we can see how that plays out. And it can be quite shocking sometimes. So the moon was in trine to Venus, but that's applying, actually. It's applying. The moon is applying to Venus, so that moves quite quickly, and it's harmonious, and it's charming. The moon trine Venus is quite lovely. The moon was opposition to Mars earlier today, but that's moved off now. And then let's look at Mercury is conjunct Venus here. We've got Venus, it's still in a conjunction, you can see here. And with that, it's, good mental balance with Venus and Mercury. The Mercury squared Jupiter, and it's applying, so we can see Mercury here, and then we got Jupiter up here. So when that hits 29 degrees, it's going to be exact when Mercury hits 29 degrees. And this can make us a bit extreme in our thinking. And also it's to do with our beliefs, and also difficulties with synchronizing theories. And it can make us restless as well. So Mercury is trining Pluto as well. So that's harmonious, but it can give us clear and strong opinions. And Venus sextile Neptune. I'm not going to read the whole chart, it looks like I am. Venus is trying to Neptune and it's applying. So Venus, when Venus gets to, also we do have Pluto retrograde at the moment for 5 months. When Venus keeps moving, we can see that Pluto's here at 26. And when Venus gets to 26, then we've got a beautiful trine, and it's harmonious, and it's our ability to experience our relationships deeply. So these are really deep, depending on where they are in our chart. You know, it's going to be different for each of us. The Mars is trining Jupiter, and we've also got that Saturn square Uranus going on, and that Saturn is applying to Uranus. This is going on for the whole of the year, but what's going to happen on the 23rd of May, Saturn is going to go retrograde, and it's going to go back to 6 degrees. So watch Saturn here, it's going to go back to 6 degrees, and I think it's 4 or 5 months. I didn't check, and I think it's about 5 months there. I didn't check the dates, but I'll make a different video on that. And we'll also look at what I really wanted to look at today was Chiron, which is the wounded healer, half man, half horse, and the wound, and also how that works for us. So when we've got Chiron in a square to Mars, because you can see Mars is here, and you've got Chiron at 10, so that's going to become a square when it's moving into a square, and then it's going to last because for a few days, because Mars doesn't move that fast. It takes 2 years around the chart. So let's have a look at what that Mars, that's what I want to do, the Mars Chiron, because ultimately what we're supposed to be doing right now with Chiron in the first house for the coming years is heal ourselves first. So it's about healing ourselves, looking at our shadow work, looking at our projections, looking at the way we interact, and also how we speak, you know, how we interact with ourselves. It's not just how we interact with others, because it's our own interactions with ourselves that causes then the projection, which gets projected into the world. So with Mars in Cancer, which you can see here that Mars is in Cancer for the coming month, and it's where, you know, it's very emotional and moody, and it's also where we sort of can, you know, it's in water, so it can take us time, because Mars is full of energy and wants to basically, you know, move ahead. And in water and with emotion, because Cancer is ruled by the moon, so the moon and Cancer go together. We've got Mars there, and it makes it in a way that, you know, it's a bit like don't know if we're coming or going, and it can make us very emotional because of the moon Cancer aspect. If we look at Chiron in Aries, it's where it's to do with our trauma, and it's also to do with our hypersensitivity, and it's where we may not feel successful, and that we may not be proactive and assertive enough. And what's very interesting at this time, despite what's going on in the world, you know, people are finding it hard to step up to be able to say what they really would think, and we're lacking a healthy dose of aggression with this. So I'm not, you know, there's healthy aggression, there's unhealthy. I mean, healthy aggression can get things moved. And it's basically that we need a certain amount of healthy aggression in order to survive in the world and society. We can't just, you know, be docile. So we really need to look at what we're doing with this. So in a way, Mars kicking in there, even though it's in Cancer and going to make us emotional and moody, there's some use to this. So Chiron transit to Mars, it basically may bring reactions that Mars may not appreciate. So it's about how we act and acting on our desires. And we can see that you know, if it's coming, if we're acting on an emotional basis rather than on a, you know, the mental, which is, you know, in Cancer, but we're talking emotional. The Mars in Cancer, it makes us emotional. It's our libido to get things done. And when we do it from an emotional aspect, you know, it can work out sometimes, but generally if we don't think, because if we also think that Mars rules the sign of Aries, so we can see that there can be impulsiveness there. So we want to learn at this time how our own actions affect others. And it's really important, because this is part of the growth of that Chiron in Aries as well, because we want to, you know, whether we can be projection free as human beings would be a big question. But as we understand ourselves and we gain wisdom and we take care of ourselves, then we do get to a point of being able to be involved for the highest good of all of us together. We've got to work together at this point. You know, we can't survive on our own. So if we look at Aries and we look at the opposite, we've got Libra, which is about balance. So this is beauty when we look on a chart, that we've got the opposite, the opposing, which, you know, we can step into, you know, healing. As we heal ourselves, we're healing our relationship with other. And if we take the sign of Cancer, we can see the moodiness, but then we've got Capricorn up here, which is about being mature and how we behave in the public. So again, if you take Leo, which is a sun and about self and shining, and then we've got Aquarius opposite, which is about groups, hopes and ideals of each other. Same with Virgo, you know, we've got here being of service, but then we've also got the surrender. So astrology is beautiful. And ultimately, as Jung probably would have said, I don't know if he ever did say this, but he did say, you know, we need to make the unconscious conscious. The whole problem in the world is the psyche of man. He made a little video years ago for the BBC, and he did say that we don't understand the psyche, and that's the thing that drives us. So we have to really look at ourselves and the shadow is not all bad. Then we've got Mars square Chiron, and looking at that, it's vulnerability, it's also our strength. Chiron is also, it's not all bad. The wound is the gift also, because with that beautiful wisdom, we can lend a hand to others, which would be Chiron. And we've got the polarity, which is Libra. And then also we've got, you know, it will push us to take a stand, to do something about our past and to change our circumstances. Now, if I take the book, which I've got, and I'll put the link below, it's Chiron, The Healing Journey by Melanie Reinhardt. And I read a little bit of what this Mars, let's go over to solar fire actually. I think people like me showing solar fire, I've heard. So let's see here. So you can see here, this is the same chart. Let me get my pen here, my marker, spotlight. There you go. And you can see that we've got Chiron here and we've got Mars here. So what happens if we go forward before we read that? We're going to go by days. So we've got Mars at 5. It's you know, it's separating, but it's still where we need to go forward. You know, from the wound, we need to start stepping forward, acting, and we're going to be moody and emotional about it by the looks of things, with that in Mars in Cancer. So we're going days. This is the London chart. This is the 3rd that I've jumped ahead there. This is the 2nd of May. Then we've got the 3rd of May, 6 degrees. And then we've got 4th, 5th, 6th. And this is, okay, 11 we want. 11. So it's an exact square on the 11th of May, and they're both at 11:11 for anybody who's into all their numbers. So synchronicity. So we can see what's going on there. I'm not going to read what's going on this chart, but we do see, let's see, we've got a sextile to, it will be, Mars will be sextile to Uranus, which is breaking free of limitations, which looks like a good energy. And then we can always see so much on a chart, like you'll look at it and maybe see something else, but it's interesting. We've got asteroid Lilith on Neptune up there. And also, what else? We've got the moon will be 23 degrees of Taurus. There's something else actually, before I jumped ahead there, before I read this little bit, and I wrote it down. So what we have is that we've got the new moon in Taurus on the 11th of May. We've got a new moon in Taurus on the 11th of May at 21 degrees. We've got on the 23rd, we've got Saturn going retrograde. Then we've got a lunar eclipse in Sagittarius on May the 26th. So that's what's upcoming for May. And then Chiron in aspect to Mars, let's dig a bit deeper in that. With Chiron in aspect to Mars, our challenge is to discover and honor our particular kind of warrior energy, so our own energy. We may have been wounded by negative and destructive expressions of the Mars principle in our early environment. If the home environment was like a battlefield or open or concealed warfare, we perhaps decided, I'll never be like that, and grow up dreading further eruptions or destructiveness. We may initially respond by becoming overcautious and throw out the baby with the bathwater, suppressing our own capacity for positive self-assertion. Healthy expression of anger and desire for conquest. And with the Chiron Mars aspect, if we grow up afraid of confrontation and unaware of our own anger and willfulness, we could fall foul of others' aggressions. If we are carrying a burden of angry feelings from past situations, we might have an exaggerated sense of our own destructiveness and control ourselves carefully, imagining we need to protect others. We then tend to pass the buck or give away our power in a manner described by the signs and the houses surrounding our Chiron Mars aspect, only to discover with whoever did take the initiative. For example, with Mars in Libra square Chiron in Cancer, we could descend into feelings of helplessness. So Chiron in Cancer, to avoid personal confrontations or making decisions, and Mars in Libra, or to fight back by sulking. So, you know, this is not, I'm not talking that Mars is in Cancer. Mars is in Cancer right now, and Chiron is in Aries. So we would really look at the houses that it's in, and then we're looking at the energy and of what the house means. And then we're looking at the aspects, and we're looking at the sign as well. You know, it's all integrated. So really right now, we do need to really work on our being proactive and also not being too wishy-washy and being all emotional about it. So we need to focus inward and see what we need to do for ourselves and keep moving forward, because that Mars is not going to be there. And then Mars will move into Leo in the coming month or so. So I'm going to leave it there. And if you would subscribe to my channel, that would be great. I'm building up my channel. I'm doing other videos. And any questions, comment below. Catch you later. Thanks for watching.